Lainey and her lists. Here we go. Number one thing that I want to get done today is harvest my speedy bush beans and chop and drop if they're ready. And then I'm going to replace them with jambalaya okra. All right, let's go do that. That first item on my list refers to this sugar kettle, which is by my ramp, which goes up to the front of our house. These speedy bush beans have been growing for a long time. They're actually a bean that sets pods and puts off beans really quick. You don't get but a couple of pickings out of them, and then they're about done. I see a few of them that are of size on here. I'm gonna pick the last of those, and then I'm just gonna take my scissors and I'm gonna chop down the plants. You could sit here and wait and see if things bud back out. You could kind of wait for another round of beans to come, and some beans do that. And if you have the time and if you're not eager for the space, then, why not? Why not wait it out? But I'm going to go ahead and get rid of these. I've got a little quart Ziploc full of them just from this little bitty area, and that's fine with me. I'm satisfied with it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to plant this jambalaya okra. These seeds came from Hoss Tools, and this okra does not get very tall. It just gets, I don't know, a foot, maybe a little more than a foot, maybe 18 inches at the most if it grows really good, but mostly a foot. That'll grow perfect in here. I've grown okra in this sugar kettle before, and it's done fine, and I need to get the okra seeds in the ground. I need to get them, in the kettle, get them growing. I'm not going to sit here and wait on some beans just to get a few more little bush beans. So that's going to tick the first thing off my list. I'm not necessarily going in order, but it's going to help me to knock this out today. The next thing on my list is plant Kentucky Dreamers and spot where the beets are. Well, I've probably never told y'all about the spot where the beets are. And I didn't tell you I had Kentucky Dreamers already planted, and I'm just planting some more. Let's go look at that. Back here at the back of the corn patch, I had made some rows and planted Kentucky Dreamer beans all there. Right here, I had started to plant some beets because I had some golden beets that said that you could plant them when it didn't have to be cold. It could be warmer. I thought I'd just try it. Now, they did come up, some of them, and they're still there. But they're little, and they've remained very small for a while, and not all of them came up. So I thought, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to leave them, but I'm going to go ahead and extend my Kentucky Dreamers all the way across these, 4 rows. And so that's what I did. I got in here a while ago and planted some more Kentucky Dreamers, and just that's been on my mind too. It's like every time I walk over here, I would say, I need to plant some more of the Kentucky Dreamers and just give up on the beets. But I never did it. And then today I just said, it's got to be on the list. I put it on the list last night, and I got it done today. I soaked the seeds overnight. I put a little inoculant on them and put them in the ground. So these are coming up good. These are doing good, and I'm hoping they'll put me off some more beans. And it'll come a little later. I'll kind of have a little break from green beans, and then hopefully these will put out later. So I'm enjoying trying some of these varieties. Look at my pretty evening sun going down. It's so pretty when it comes in between those trees. I just love it. So, oh well, break's over. What next? Pull down Aunt Mary's meat and Sicilian swamp beans. Weed bed as good as possible. Replace with rattlesnake pole beans. Okay. That I think I can handle pretty easy. Next, take down the 2 azalea bushes. Ooh, gone. Make them gone. Trim oak tree out of gardenia bush. Tell you what, I'm going to hold off on this just a little bit. And once I get the pruners out, I'll do a bunch of different things, but I'm going to wait on this. I think next I'm gonna try to go out and do this. Make decision on strike bush beans. Remove and weed. Replace with Texas 40 cream peas. Those are the same cream peas that I put in the bed by my house. So I decided just to do the same ones out there once I pull the striped bush beans out. Let's go look at the bush beans and talk about them. Okay, I've been showing y'all my striped bush beans, and they're winding down. They're winding down. This right here is a pepper plant, and there are a few other pepper plants mixed up in there. But just talking about my bush beans though, they're winding down. I'm going to pick off of them right now. I brought my bowl out here. I'm going to pick what I'm hoping is pretty much the last of them. I picked day before yesterday, and you can just tell when your beans are winding down. They start getting smaller. They start curling a lot sooner. Some of them get really fat at one end and really skinny at the other end, and they curl up. They're about done. These aren't really budding out and looking like they really want to grow anymore. They could, they may, but what Lainey's gonna do, executive decision, because I'm the executive of this garden, is I'm gonna pull them out. I'm gonna get in here right now. I'm gonna listen to a little video or something and harvest them. And then I'm gonna be done with them. I'm gonna pull them out and go ahead and start weeding this ground. And I'm gonna come in with those Texas 40 cream peas and put here. Well, that's off my list. I got them all chopped down. I'm just gonna leave some of them in the aisles over here and there just to kind of kill out some of these grass weeds that are in the aisles. I'm not really worried about the grass in the aisles too much. I can weed that later, but I am trying to get some of these weeds off of the actual rows so that when I go to plant the Texas 40 cream peas, I have a row to put it in. So obviously I'm not through, but it's getting kind of late. I'm gonna be out here a while, but I'm gonna go get the side-by-side for my husband. So I just wanted to go ahead and film this, and I can pretty much say this is, say, 60% done. I need to do some more weeding and then just come out here and plunk the seeds in and water them in. May finish that in the morning, but at least, you know, it's a good chunk off my list. It's a good chunk. And I'm feeling good about what all I got accomplished today and kind of taking back some of my time. Move round cages from big bed to golden jennies. That means those cages I had for the Kajari melons that I never grew, I might need to put them by the golden jennies because my dog is apparently eating things around the golden jennies right now, and I'm scared he's going to make it to the golden jennies. Let's go look at that. Prune the honeydews and white wonder bed. That's my cucumbers and honeydews that are at the end of my ramp. They just need pruning because some of the leaves are getting a little yellow, and I don't want them to get infested with any types of worms or anything. So I do need to get that done. I was going to go show you where I was going to prune my honeydews and my white wonder cucumbers up there by the house, but Richard's sitting on the carport and he's got the radio going. I usually set a big DeWalt radio by him so he can listen to when he's sitting out there while I'm working, and it's playing music. And if I get too close to that music and it shows up in the background of my video, they give you a strike and they want to take any money you might ever make from one of your videos. So I don't want to go even near him over there right now with my camera to film that. So just know I'm going to get in there. If I don't do it today, I'll do it tomorrow. And I'm going to prune up all of those honeydew and cucumber plants and just take off all the yellow leaves. Anything that looks like it's just crowding everything out and that doesn't need to be there. Just kind of clean it up and give them some ventilation. Begin pruning crepe myrtles along road. I'll tell you about that. I'm gonna walk across my front yard to show you the crepe myrtles that I need to trim, but I wanted to show you that my honey cream corn is coming up and doing good. It's about, say, 4 to 5 inches tall, but great germination down all 3 rows. I can't complain. When it gets 8, 9, or 10 inches high, I'm going to fertilize it and then pull some of this dirt from either side and kind of hill it up a little bit. Our yard doesn't quite go all the way to this little gravel road next to us. It kind of cuts off right here, kind of in between those azaleas, to the fence back there, and then comes to the road. So this part we don't technically own. We don't own. And then of course there's the road. And then there's a little land across the road. But you see all these azalea trees here? That's what I'm talking about trimming. And you may wonder, well, they're not yours. Why are you doing that? Well, we met the owner that owns this piece of property. He lives down the gravel road, and very nice person. And he had told us from the get-go that if we wanted to mow that side little part of our yard over here and then mow on this side of the driveway, that first of all, it makes our place look nicer if we keep all of this up. The people that lived there before us didn't mow it and didn't really take care of it. And he has lots of acreage and things to do back on his property, so it's not his top priority to mow this either. So he said, if y'all want to just mow it, you can use it as if it's yours. You know, drive on it, do whatever you need to do, ride your side by side on it, do whatever you need to do. So to me, it's a good deal because it makes our place look a lot nicer if this is taken care of. And I'm right by the highway, and you're going to hear a lot of traffic, and I'm sorry. But here's the problem. That's a beautiful crepe myrtle. You know, old, it's been there a while, it's a beautiful trunk. But look at all these leaves. Well, when I'm trying to mow around it, I can't. I get popped upside the head by these limbs, and you can see that I can't get right up to the base of the trees or anything. So my goal is to come over here and limb these things up, because if I don't do it, I don't think it's gonna get done. Some of these aren't hard to do. That one there barely needs anything. So it's no big deal. That first one is the worst. Well, there's two that are bad. So some of these aren't bad, but these little limbs do need to go because they're right where, you know, that one there, they're right where they will hit me in the head when I'm mowing. And so I want to get rid of them. I kind of was thinking of bringing over, not a lot, not a big huge ring of wood chips around each one, but just enough to where, you see how that dirt's kind of worn down there? Just enough to kind of go around there, maybe a good 18 inches out from each base. Maybe one wheelbarrow per tree. And that'll help me because then I won't have to get very close to those trees. And anyway, and I think it'll be beautiful. Looking from the highway, it'll be beautiful. This is a crepe myrtle. Look at there. That's a crepe myrtle. A crepe myrtle that has not had any love in a long time. So that's what's on my list, because there again, I can't mow under there. And I'm not gonna come over here and weed eat. No, I'm just not. Lainey's taking that off her plate. There's a pretty bad one. Not as bad as the other two, but pretty bad. And then this one has blackberries up in it. So if that was to pop me upside the head, that would really feel good. And so forth and so on. That one's not bad. That one, of course, is. The last few aren't that bad. And they end right past that one. They end. So rather than overwhelm myself, I was thinking if I just got over here and did 2 or 3 a day over the next couple of weeks or something, I could get them done. But I sure do know that when I come over here to mow, it'll make it a lot easier on me. So I'll put it on the list and we'll see what happens. Okay, what's next? Trim brush around tree by the carport. If I've heard that once from Richard, I've heard it 1,000 times, and I need to get to that soon because it is bothering me as well. Prune leaves on peppers in pink half runner bed. That's easy. I can do that in 5 minutes. Water California Wonders by the road. I planted some of my peppers up by the road by a stump, and I actually watered these earlier while I was talking on the phone to somebody. I'm gonna put a check by that. Put wire up by Cushaw's. Fertilize. Okay, I already fertilized that soil, so I don't need to do that. Whew, let me go do that. Okay, we just got back from our little ride. I did take a little ride with Richard today. He just loves to get out, but I made it short and got on back. So I got this metal put up. Now there's no way I can film this while I'm doing it. It was 2 hands, plus I was worried about poking my eyes out even though I had glasses on. And it was just kind of tedious. I couldn't find my zip ties, so I actually had to use just little pieces of wire like this and put on there and kind of tie it together. It should work fine, but dealing with that wire and bending the other wire, whew, it about got me. So now my Cushaws have a little something to climb on. The last thing that I have on here is plant Texas 40 cream peas where Cabarica beans are. Fertilize. I was looking at that yesterday, and I actually had fertilized those Cabarica beans, so I'm not going to worry about fertilizing right now, but let's go talk about planting them. Okay, as per my list, I came along here and I chopped and dropped some Cabarica beans that were still here. Now, let me back up and show you. I still have some. There's one there and there. And you know, they were solid as a block going all the way around the edge of that bed. And now they're just about gone. But I'm having to leave some of them because they still have green pods on them. And these pods turn a little yellow and buff color with some purplish pink stripes. And that's when you want to harvest them green. You would let them totally dry up if you wanted to harvest them dried. But I'm going to go ahead, I've made a decision, just harvest them green. And but these aren't ready yet. So these same Texas 40 cream peas that I put in the other day, all out in the middle of all these squash and all, that's the same peas I'm going to come back and I'm going to just kind of outline this bed with. When I'm putting them amongst those squash, I kind of have to spread them out, but putting them in a line around the edge, I'm going to do them about every 4 inches. So I'll be able to get a good many peas out of this bed. And guess what? Look. They're already coming up. Those peas are. So they'll be up in no time. There's another one there. Another one there. So they'll be up in no time, and then I'll have the whole bed rung with them where these Cabaricas used to be. And I'll get me a lot of cowpeas out of here, I hope. I just added this one, but it's definitely necessary. Do something with wood piles. That won't happen today, but I'm gonna leave it on the list. I just came over here on my porch to sit down for just a few minutes and rest. It is very hot in the sun, and I've been trying to do as many chores as I can that aren't directly in the sun, but I'm fixing to have to ease out in it in a minute, so, or I may could wait till late this evening. But in any case, I'm hot now. But I just came over here to sit down a minute. What has been on my mind, and I wanted to talk about, why do I make lists to begin with? Why am I just so ultra organized that I always walk around with lists and I have lists? No, now I used to. We owned a family business, and I had to be at that store from 9 to 5:30 every day. And I hated downtime, because the minute I had any downtime, all I could think about was what my kids were doing, if they were out of school that day, or if it was after school, or what am I going to cook for supper? And my mind would just wander, and I wanted to leave so bad. I just wanted to get out of there and go home, you know, and live my life. But I was stuck inside of this store, and not complaining. I had a good job and everything, but when you work somewhere for 20-something years, which I did there, and you have these 4 walls that are your existence all day, every day, it can be just stifling. I guess stifling, that's my word. And my particular office where I did all the bookkeeping and all had no windows or anything. only had windows and stuff if I was out front, in the front of the store. So just depending on what was going on, sometimes I was out front a lot, sometimes I was in my office a lot, depending on what I had to do. So having sunshine and fresh air was just not something I got to enjoy a whole lot during the daytime. So what I did to counter that was I had the habit of just making lists. I would make the longest list I could. It didn't matter if I had 40 things on it. And I would definitely try to have that list started on a Monday or carry it over from the week before. And I would make just anything I could see that needed to be done in that store, anything that needed to be stocked, anything. Now, we had employees, and they would look at my list to see what I might need done. And, we all shared tasks. But what I'm saying is I made lists of every task that I thought needed to be done at that store, because if I could stay busy in between a customer, in between a job, in between an accounting task I had to do, I wanted to know that I could jump from that to something else and I could stay busy and keep my mind off of, I hate to say it, but keep my mind off of my family, because I wanted to go home. Keep my mind off of cooking and all, because I didn't want to just sit there during the day grieving the fact that I was ready to go home, and I loved working. I worked hard. We had a lot to do, but there were other times, like in retail, there's slow times, there's very busy times of the year, there's some times where a whole month would be kind of slow, and it was like that cyclically every year, that these particular months were our slow months, these particular months were our swamped months. So during those slow periods, I tried to just get the store in as tip-top shape as I could, stocked as much as I could, inventory everything we needed to restock, and do whatever I could. So I kept these lists, and that actually kept me going, and it made me just have a focus to where when I finished one thing, you go to that list, okay, what can I do next? Didn't matter if it was cleaning the bathroom or what, I had something I could do next. I wasn't wandering around with my own thoughts, just wanting to do something else, like leave. And so I did that. Well, it's created in me now that same kind of angst that gets inside me. It's like, okay, your mind's wandering. You've got things to do, but your mind's wandering. You want to be somewhere else. Okay, focus. And so here this last week, I've had a lot of little things pop up, nothing horrible, just little things pop up, little tasks I needed to do, little errands we needed to run, and my focus has been just going this way, and things that my garden needed attending to, but I was only given that 30 minutes a day while we ran off and did other things that we had to do, go to town and get things and all. And I'm like, okay, the things I need to do around my garden are piling up, and I can see a little time coming up on Thursday. Today is Thursday. Let me make a list. So I sat at my bar last night from probably 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock last night, and I made that list that I have that I'm going by today. But that was so that when I walked out of the house it's not even this morning, it was like lunch by the time I could even get out of my house. But by the time I walked out of my house at lunch, I was able to know what to do. I wasn't just wandering around my yard not knowing what I needed to do. I needed to plant the Texas 40 cream peas where my Cavarica beans were. I needed to go pick the rest of my striped beans and evaluate whether to pull them up, but pretty much knew I was going to be pulling them up because I'm ready to put something else in there. I knew I needed to clean out that sugar kettle. I knew I needed to clean off these pole beans that have been on my azalea branches. And if you have a list like that, it does help you to not have to refocus between each task and not have to sit around and say, what was it that was bothering me last night, and what was it I saw yesterday that needed to be done but now I can't remember. You just go, oh, here it is. Now, you may not feel like doing it at that moment. There's some things on that list I don't really feel like doing right now, but that's because I'm sitting here talking to you at 3 o'clock in the afternoon when I'm burning up. So no, do I want to walk over there and trim crepe myrtles that are out in the sun along this little road by our house right now? No, I don't really want to do that right now. But what is good about lists is if I don't get to everything today, which I won't, there's a couple of them that are going to take me a while, is that list is there in the morning and you're already kind of focused for the next day. And so I might end up chunking that list in the garbage here shortly after I finish everything. It's not that I'm going to keep that one list and just add to it, add to it, add to it all the time. I kind of do the list now at this point in my life. I do shorter lists, try to get those things accomplished, give myself some clicks. I'm trying to learn to tell yourself you did good, you got everything done on that list. I walked in the house a while ago just to cross off some things or put checks by them, and I was like, oh my goodness, I've already got like 4 or 5 things done already. I mean, that's good. So a good purpose of the list also, if you do things on it, if you accomplish some of the things on it, is to give yourself a little affirmation of what you accomplished that day. This might seem like a simple thing. This might seem like something that could be, you know, in Women's Daily Magazine, make a list, check it off, feel good about yourself. I understand that. I'm just trying to today, that is how I do things to keep myself kind of focused, to keep myself from wasting time, because time is so precious. It is so precious, and also just to be able to look at it later in the day when I'm feeling like there's 10 things that I need to do, and I'm already worried about those next 10 things. I can look back at the previous 10 things and I can say, you know, these things weren't done 2 days ago. You got them done. Now you can move on and just look at this other as a new horizon, not so much as, oh my God, more stuff to do. You can look at it now as a clean slate and let me move on to these newer tasks and just get even more accomplished. I may write them down, I may not. I may just move on and not write them down. It's okay. However you want to do things, you just have to find out what works for you. But this is going to sound terrible. This is a silly story, but another reason I'm doing these lists, I did it last night, and I'm trying to accomplish things and all, is because it's my things, and I want to do some things for Lainey this week. Now, all you ever see me doing is things in my garden and stuff, so it always appears to you probably that I'm always doing Lainey things. I'm always tending the garden, but that's not true. Sometimes I'll show you what I'm accomplishing, but sometimes I accomplish that in a very fast fashion, and I might have only had an hour or so that day to really get out here and do it. My life's pulled in different directions. I think when you're the wife, the mom, the grandma, you know, you can get pulled in different directions. And in my personal life, I'm also the caregiver to my husband, so I can get pulled in a lot of different directions. And this last week or so, I have felt that more than ever. I babysat for my grandkids the other night, which I love, and they were so cute, and they helped me harvest cucumbers and cherry tomatoes and had a ball. So it was no problem. But when they're here, I'm the caretaker of, it's not like it used to be when my husband and I would babysit or keep grandkids, and you know, he could take somebody outside and watch them while I did this or that. You know, it's all me now, so I have to be just completely focused on keeping up with a 4-year-old and 2-year-old around here, because I don't want them to get hurt or anything. And then I'm still, you know, having to cook and do things and feed my husband and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of tiring sometimes when it's over with, though I love them, but you're tired when it's over with, because I'm the only one that can bathe them. You know, I'm the only one that can do things. So it is extra work for me. So anyway, did that though, got that over with. And I had them over here Sunday night, and they were here till middle of the day Monday, and I love them to death. They're so cute, and that's fine. But you know, I was kind of itching to kind of get out in my garden, and of course I did a little bit, but then my husband wants to go riding. And the thing is, when I am 100% tied up kind of with grandkids, my husband doesn't get to do the things he normally does, which like riding his side-by-side and things like that, because I can't take it all on. I can't watch these 2 little ones around him on the side-by-side. I don't want him driving them on the side-by-side. It's just little things that can make simple tasks for some people be kind of harder for me and a little bit more stressful for me. And anybody that's a caretaker, anybody that has little kids, you don't even have to be a caretaker per se. You can just be a parent with little kids, and you know, and you just want to wash dishes, but they're under your feet, whatever. And sometimes little small tasks can be amplified and can kind of wear you out faster than normal. So that's what I'm talking about. So I kind of rolled into the week like that. And then my son, he decided to get these electronic dog collars for the dogs because we had an incident the other day that he told me about. I didn't even realize that one of the dogs had went out in the highway. And I try to stay on top of them when I let them out. I'm out here with them the whole time, and then I kennel them up whenever I feel like I need to go do something and, you know, I'm not going to be able to watch them good. I kennel them up. Well, he got them these electronic dog collars so that he could train them on these points in the yard, make it where they kind of get zapped and they won't go to the highway, you know, however those things work. I'm really not an expert on it. But anyway, you GPS points in your yard. And it has popped them a couple of times. I hadn't hurt them or anything, but it's let them know, don't go past this, you know. So, and I think that part's working. I think it's working. But what also was going on with that was he could tell on his phone exactly where each dog was at all times. So his thinking was, I'm going to get these collars on them and I'm going to train them to know the points in the yard where they can and cannot go. And then we can just leave them out all the time. And then boom, he's gone to work this week. And then he goes to school. So he's, you know, his days are long. So all of a sudden I'm getting texts from him, you know, can you let the dogs out? You know, and then later on, Tuesday or Wednesday, he calls me and says, why aren't the dogs out? I see they're in their kennel. He's looking at his GPS on his phone. I see they're in their kennel. And I'm like, because I'm in the house. He said, well, you can let them out. You can let them out. They got the collars on now. Well, I don't let them out all the time. And this is why. I think I told y'all the other day that one of my dogs pulled up a whole stalk of corn and chewed on it and ruined it and left it out in my yard. What I didn't tell you was that same dog had right in front of me one day, saw my yellow banana peppers growing and chewed them off the tree just right in front of me, grabbed the banana pepper and took off. And I had been watching that pepper every day to see when it was going to get yellow enough to harvest. It was still tinged kind of green. Well, he took it and headed out with it. And there goes the banana peppers. Then there goes the stalk of corn. Well, my Sugarloaf Hessel winter squash that I have been babying, which I started from seed in my house in February, which I covered with tarps, and I got them through that freeze, and I've babied them ever since. I harvested 2 off of it the other day that I think just were done, but it actually had started growing 3 or 4 more. I had 2 plants, and they had started growing 3 or 4 more. Well, that little turkey ate the squash off the plants and then pulled the plants completely out of the ground and drug them into the yard the other day. Both my Sugarloaf Hessel squash. I was not happy. I was not happy. And I try to let them out, and I'm out there with them when they do this. Like, he's just starting to do it because he's seeing little round things on vines and things, and I have tried to put as much wire mesh as I can around a lot of these beds. I've got it, but I can't put it everywhere. I can't put it everywhere. I don't have enough wire to put it everywhere. And I've put string, I've done things, and it's just dogs, I guess. I get that. I'm not a dog trainer, and they're not my dogs. They're my son's dogs. But they've kind of become my dogs because I'm the one home all the time now. And it's become just stressful that this is my point. My time doesn't seem to be my time anymore. My time seems to be taking care of everybody else in the family sometimes. I'm not complaining. I'm just asking, do you feel this way sometimes yourself? Do you feel this way? I'm all of a sudden being GPSed on a phone by my son who's in work in another town to see if the dogs are let out of the kennel. And as I told him, that's not going to cut it. That's not going to cut it. Don't do that anymore. Don't worry about those dogs. You're going to work. You're going to work. And as a young man, he pretty much does whatever he wants to do. And I end up here and I end up feeding the dogs and stuff. So let me do it my way. What I'm trying to do is take back some time for me, to take back some enjoyment for me. I'm setting a boundary on that GPSing me and the dogs during the day. Turn it off. Just turn it off. I'm going to do what works best for me during the day. I'll let them out as often as I can. I'll let them out when I'm doing the things that I don't mind them being out with me and when I can watch them. But if I need to do something like put my head down and pick bush beans for 30 minutes into a bucket and I'm not watching them, they're going to get kenneled up. And if I'm doing something where I need to go in and out of the house and I'm not going to be outside the whole time, they're getting kenneled up. And with my husband, I'm setting some boundaries too, because bless his heart, I know he gets bored. He used to be so active. He used to be at work worrying about employees and blueprints and budgets and, supervisors and all that kind of stuff. And now his days are so idle, and I know he's bored. I know he is. But if my mornings kind of get taken away from me by errands or other tasks, I can't always just promise these afternoon drives every day, because it's costing money and gas, but it's also just pulling me away from things I want to do too sometimes. And when I say my mornings get taken up, it's because, just managing the house. This morning, I vacuumed. I put away clothes because clothes had piled up. I got the kitchen clean after breakfast. Every mother, mom, whatever, we have a lot of things we have to do during the day. Just breakfast, dishes, getting beds made. If you want to do that kind of thing, I like to do it. Go ahead and do it before I come out every day, because when I go in and out of my house, I would rather it be clean. When I go in to eat lunch, I don't want to be looking at an unmade bed. When I'm tired at night, because I usually do try to work out here till dark once we get back from taking a little ride or running errands, I don't want to go in my house at night and all of a sudden realize I have 4 loads of clothes I haven't washed, So I try to get a lot done, not to mention just my husband's grooming and dressing and all that stuff in the morning. I like to get a lot of that stuff done before I ever even step out of the house, so that I'm kind of free. I'm free. I don't have to walk back in and worry about a dirty house or garbage that needs taken out or whatever. I try to get all that done before I start gardening. But what I was finding was a lot of my time was just spread so thin here in the last week or so, and I was starting to feel kind of stressed. And I was like, last night I just thought, I'm going to take back a little of my time by kind of making a list and telling myself, tomorrow, get these things done. These things have been bothering you. These things have been causing you to feel stressed. These things are making it where when you walk by a flower bed, you're seeing only the things that need to be done. You're not seeing the beauty right now. And for a while there, I was seeing the beauty and the new growth, and I was so excited. And now I had gotten to where when I was walking by everything, I was just seeing, this needs pruning bad, this isn't growing, and I was feeling a lot of negativity in my garden. And weirdly, making that list helped me. It helped me. Even though I'm only half done with it today, even though probably a little less than half done, I know I've got some momentum, and I know I'm getting things done. And I know that by this evening, I'm going to be able to look at a bunch of things that yesterday were bothering me, and today they're not. And then I think I can give to other people better when I'm not feeling so stressed, when I'm feeling calm and peaceful. And that's the way I want it to be. I don't want to live my life being short with people. I don't want to live my life with any kind of stress between me and my kids or me and my husband. And I do have to just sometimes say, stop. Everybody stop. Don't GPS me right now. Don't send me on errands I don't need to run on right now for things we don't need right now. Let's just stop. And that's what I've kind of been doing today. And it feels good. It feels very good.